Hey there everyone, it's Ed here from Bunch of Swines again. Have you ever had a really dumb idea that you just felt that you had to have a go at? Well, that's kind of what this is today. So I've gone and got myself some of these instant lighting barbecues, and I wondered, is it possible to actually cook, a small piece of brisket, and actually get something come out that's actually edible. So, I'm going to make a few alterations to it. I've only got this little piece of brisket here, from the supermarket. It's only like 1.7 kilos. So, I'm gonna trim that up to get that ready. But cooking on these disposable barbecues. To be fair, I don't think I've seen one of these in about 20 years. So, first thing I'm going to do is actually, open up the packet. And let's see what I'm actually dealing with here. So, I've got a few ideas of what my strategy is going to be for how to cook on it, but I guess until I see it, I won't really know. So, okay, it's better than I thought it was going to be. So. Getting this thing out of the packaging. On here. Right. There we go. So this is our disposable barbecue. To be fair, I'm actually looking at it. At least it's got these air holes in the side. That was going to be one of my main worries, was about airflow. So. At least I'm going to be conscious of being able to, I'm actually confident of being able to maintain some flame in there. Also I went for this larger one, so my idea is that if I can pour all of the charcoal down to one side and sort of create like a two-zone cooking area. I've already started making a bit of a makeshift lid for it, so just taking another foil pan, which I'm going to sit just on top, if it will balance. I have already put a thermometer through this just so I can actually see just how hot it is, how well it's performing, and give me an idea about how long this is going to take to cook. So I'm probably going to need to put some air vents down on this side, so I'll probably put like a few vents down there, and then we'll be ready to start looking at how we're going to cook on this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this brisket inside. I'm going to trim that up, put some rub on it. I'm also going to make some holes in the side of my foil pan just to get that ready, and we'll fire this up and see just how horrible it is. So things already aren't going to plan. I did originally start this in my garden. You can see we've had a change of scenery. I've actually moved this up to our barbecue barn. The reason for that, I lit it, it all looked okay, and then it just started smoking uncontrollably, and I really didn't want to annoy all of my neighbourhood. So, I kind of put that one in some cold water to turn it off. And now we're going to start again. So now I'm down to only 2 of these disposable barbecues. So we're going to see if that's going to work. If not, I may be having to go out to the supermarket to go and buy another one. But we're gonna go at this again, and hopefully our luck will be a bit better this time. So now that we've given our charcoal a chance to light, and most of the smoke has stopped coming off of it, I want to start getting it ready. Start getting an idea of how hot we're going to be cooking at using this disposable barbecue. So, you can see here I've got my foil pan that I had earlier. I've just punched 3 holes in the side just to give it a bit of an exhaust, so some of the smoke can get out of it. And I've got my dial thermometer kind of like screwed into the top of it. So, I mean, as the charcoal is set up at the moment, it's it's all over on one side. It's taking up too much space. So, as you want to kind of like tip it all over to one side to create my indirect zone, just like that. And then I'm going to put my thermometer facing away from the fire, away from the charcoal. And then what I'm going to do now is just use a couple of bits of wood. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I've got a couple of bits of wood here that I'm just going to leave on top just to hold the lid in place so it doesn't go flying off. So we're starting to see the dial starting to go round, so we'll get a bit of an idea of how hot we're going to be cooking at, and sort of what our strategy is going to be for actually getting this piece of brisket cooked. So as you can see, our dial is going around. We've just gone past 300. Where's it going to stop? I'm guessing this is going to be a pretty hot cook, but that'll be fine. I mean, by the time I put some cold meat in there, that'll drop the whole temperature of the whole temperature down, and it'll be okay to cook. So, I mean, I'm actually looking at this because I haven't got much charcoal in these. I'm not expecting it to last very long. I'm actually gonna get the brisket on. So we're looking at okay, it keeps going up. So we're going to be starting off at about 400 degrees. But now I've got no smoke coming off. I want to get this brisket on. I don't want to lose any of this heat, or as little of this heat as I can. So we'll go and get this brisket out and put this on. So it wouldn't be brisket if there wasn't like a little bit of smoke. So I'm just going to add some wood chips in, just to give it that bit of a smoky flavour. Try and hide some of the lighter fluid flavour, I guess. And then there you go, you see we've got our little piece of brisket. I'm going to try and lay it as far away from the coals as possible in this. Just to make sure I don't sizzle it too much. But now that's on, only thing that's left to do is to get my lid back on. Just make sure I've got space for the thermometer. There we go, put my lid back on and put my bits of wood in place to hold it down. So there you go, you can see we're cooking now. This is smoking away, so we'll get some of that wood flavour into it, and we will keep checking back on this as we go. So we've been running for around about half an hour already, about 30 minutes. I can see on my dial it's only saying 200. I think I've got it actually resting on the meat, so it's not giving me a true reflection. I just want to have a quick look at it just to see how it's coming along. A little bit nervous and in anticipation. So okay, so it's cooking. Is one thing from that. The only thing I can see, obviously, where we're cooking this bit so close to the fire, it's starting to sizzle there. So I'm just going to try to pick up this meat and spin it round. See if I can. There we go. Just free it up from the. from the rack, move it around. Oh, a bit hot. I'm also going to try and push this right up to the side so I can try and stop my meat probe, my thermometer probe actually hitting the brisket. So we're just going to do that. I should really do this with gloves on, but hey ho. There we go. I mean, that's all it was. I just wanted to have a quick check on it. Just starting to get a bit sizzled on that side, so I've just turned it round. I'm going to put the lid back on, and we're just going to let it carry on cooking, and we'll come back to it a bit later. So it's been about another 45 minutes since we last checked it. So we're about an hour and 15 minutes into the cook. I can see my temperature is kind of sitting steady. I just want to have a quick look at this though, just to see, kind of, make sure we're not sizzling up too much on that side. We're looking okay. I also just want to have a look at the temperature in the middle of the meat. So, it's cooking. We're only an hour and 15 minutes in. We're just a little bit under 140 Fahrenheit. I've still got some reasonable heat coming out of the charcoal, so I'm not worried about having to light a new one yet. But yeah, it's looking and smelling like brisket. So we're just going to keep on cooking, leave this alone, and we'll come back and check on it in a bit. So our brisket's now been on for about an hour and a half. I'm thinking that we're probably going to be getting close to getting it ready to wrap. So I'm just going to put that out of the way for a minute. I'm just going to check the temperature. Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to like 145. So, with these grass-fed briskets, because they don't have a huge amount of fat or marbling in them, I generally don't want to, normally you would let it get into the stool before you do that, before we'd wrap it, but I kind of don't want to do that with this because I'm worried that I will dry out the meat too much. So what I'm going to do to sort of because the bark hasn't fully formed yet, but to sort of accelerate that and make sure that I do keep a bit of a bark, is I'm just going to lay that straight over the coals now, okay, and just sort of get a bit of direct heat coming straight over the brisket. So that's going to basically seal it, sear in that bark. So we're going to have a nice colour to it, and obviously the bark's going to stick by the time that we wrap it. So we're just going to wait here for a few minutes, just let that kind of colour up a bit, and then we'll wrap this up. So as we're searing it directly over the coals, I just want to flip it back over, have a quick look at it, make sure that we're not going too far with it, but I'm starting to see some sizzling, some bubbles coming out of it, so that's all okay. I'm just going to rest that back down and put the lid back on, just to try and seal it, save some of that heat in here. So there we go. Now that we've done that, you can see that the bark's firmed up a bit in these edges. I had a bit of puddling in the middle, so I'm not going to get a huge amount out of that, but I'm fine with that. For the purpose of what we're doing here, this is going to be okay. So, like always, I'm going to wrap this in a couple of sheets of heavy-duty foil. I'm just going to place my brisket on like that. Just get these bits of wood out the way. And then in here, I've just got a little bit of beef stock, a bit of Bovril. So I just need to keep hold of these so they don't blow away. So
Just trying to create a bit of a boat around it so I don't lose all of the bovril, all of the beef stock. And there we go. I'm just gonna pour this over. So we just keep it nice and juicy, and give us a bit of a sauce, a bit of meat juice afterwards that we can serve with the brisket. So just try and get it all wrapped up on one corner first, on one side. There we go. Now it's all nicely sealed up. I can just make sure I get it really tight on the sides before I then close up this end bit. So push that down. And then that's it. So there we go. That is our brisket ready to go back onto the cooker. So we're just going to place them down like that. I just need to squeeze some of this foil down. Still feeling good heat there, so I'm just going to let that carry on cooking on this one. I'll probably think about starting to fire up the second disposable barbecue, and we'll keep cooking this until we get it tender, and we'll keep come back and have a look at it in a bit. So our temperature's dropped a little bit now. I'm just wanting to see how far away we are from this being done. So I think we're coming up to about 3 hours, 3.5 hours maybe, into the cook. So it's not surprising that the coals are dying out. That's feeling pretty spongy. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting up to about 170, so I'm going to have to get the another disposable barbecue fired up, just so we have enough temperature, enough heat to get this cooked through. But to be fair, it's lasted a lot longer than I was expecting anyway. So I'm going to go get this other one fired up. We'll swap it around and we'll see you back in a bit. Our second disposable charcoal grill is now burnt down enough and is ready. So like I did before, I'm just going to pour, tip this over so I can get the coals all over to one side, just like that. So I've got a nice big area for the meat to sit. I'm just going to quickly swap this out. So I just need to take this off. And I'm going to transfer the meat over like that. Take this tray and put that to the side. And there we go. That's all back in. I mean, that feels a lot hotter already. So hopefully we can power through the rest of this cook now and get this brisket finished. So we are 4.5 hours into our cook. We've been running pretty hot. One of the things I actually remembered with this dial, the reason why I had it lying around is that it actually doesn't really work that well. So I'm just going to take this off though. We're going to have a look at our brisket. I think that we should be done or close to done if we're not already. I mean, I'm just checking it in multiple places. I mean, to be fair, I think that is actually done. So I'm just going to put this to one side, take the brisket off. I just want to open it up from the foil so we can actually have a look at, how it's looking before we, and let the steam come off it before we put it away to rest. So I'm just going to open up the foil now and just see how this brisket has cooked, how it's looking right now. you know, it was only a small piece of brisket, so we managed to cook it in about 4.5 hours. So yeah, I mean, I just want to maybe get my thermopen again just to go across the. Yeah, I mean it's probing tender, so I'm going to say that's done. I just want to leave the foil open for a bit, just so it can the bark can harden back up. You'll see, you know, when we come to slice it a bit later, it will go a much darker colour. So I'm just going to leave this to, you know, let some of this steam out, let that bark harden back up. Yeah, we'll clean up here, we'll take it back home, and you know, we'll slice it back home. So, right, we're back in the garden. We've got our brisket home. We're going to open this up, have a look at it. Let's see how it tastes. You know, did we actually get any kind of unwanted flavour from the instant lighting charcoal, or you know, or was it all fine? So, yeah, we're just going to open this up, get it on a board, slice it up, and let's have a look. Opening up the brisket. I just want to see how it's looking now after it's had its rest. I'm guessing that the bark should have hardened up a bit and be a bit darker than before. Yeah, and yeah, that's looking a lot better in a lot of places. So I'm just trying to find the grain, make sure that I'm slicing it across the grain as normal. And you know, it's feeling pretty good as we're slicing it. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this is going to come out in the end. Okay, nearly there. Just get that bit out of the way. Okay, and let's have a look at. You know, I'm quite keen to see how moist this is. You know, it's looking quite juicy from what I can see, but obviously it's all going to be in the taste. So we'll try this bit. Looks nice and tender. Actually, so you know, that was actually pretty juicy. A lot more juicy than I was expecting it for one of these, you know, English grass-fed supermarket briskets. It's you know, probably, you know, one of the worst pieces of meat that I've cooked for a long time. So yeah, it was interesting though to see that I could get that kind of result with it. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm just going to pack it. You know, I mean, I'm just going to slice this up. I'm not looking to eat it right now. I'm just going to, you know, have a look at it. You can see I haven't got much of a smoke ring in there. You know, I'd have preferred a bit more, but you know, I think by using chunks instead of chips, that would have helped. But I'm just going to pack this away now. You know, and we can think of, you know, how we're going to use this in some other dishes later on. So, going into this, I mean, I was really unsure of if that was even possible, but it actually, you know, with a few minor alterations, yes, you can cook a brisket on a disposable barbecue. I mean, was it great? You know, but I think with a few adjustments, you know, we didn't get much of a smoke ring. So, you know, if we put a bit of, you know, actually a chunk of wood on top of the fire rather than the chips, I think we'd have got a better smoke ring, and it would have looked a bit better there. But, you know, I was actually quite surprised by the amount of juice that was still in the brisket, so that came out well. We had a nice bark, it wasn't burnt, and you know, it didn't taste of petrol. So, you know, the next time one of your friends turns up for a barbecue and they bring an instant lighting thing with them, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world. You know, maybe adapt and overcome, and you know, see how you can do it that way. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I mean, it was a bit of fun for me as well. So if you've got any questions, you know, please put them down in the comments below, or if not, you know, we'll see you on another video.